Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip. I am your host, JP John Poz. With me today, very special guest, UFC legend, former UFC Lightweight Champion, absolute legend of MMA, Mr. Frankie Edgar. Frankie, welcome in. How you doing?
Good, John. How are you?
Doing good. What's going on in your world? You got some acting chops now. What's going on with your latest movie?
Yeah, I just the Bastard Son just came out. Me and Kevin Donato, he was the writer, director, starred in it, and all that stuff, and he asked me to take a role in this movie, and I just jumped at the opportunity. Thought it was a pretty cool thing to do, try out. Never really acted before at this level, so jumped on in.
Man, what kind of made you think like, hey, let's try this acting thing out? I mean, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, I never would thought I would have done this. I actually do a podcast called Champion the Tramp with Roger Matthews and Kevin. We had on as a guest. Spoke about his acting career. He's a local guy, from Jersey, kind of the area I'm from, and just talked about his career, him serving the army. He talked about a project he had coming up, and one thing led to another. He asked us to be in this project, and me and Roger both jumped in.
Pretty cool. So tell us about the Bastard Sons. Tell us what it's all about. I know obviously it's awesome because it's based in Jersey, and I'm a Jersey guy. So tell us a little bit about Bastard Sons.
Yeah, it's not a mafia movie. It's a gangster flick. Four brothers kind of you know uh through crime family, I guess. Not real blood brothers, but kind of you know brothers through loyalty and stuff like that. Get together to avenge a death in the family and kind of rise to power. So definitely a good Jersey flick, gangster flick, kind of real fitting. Real fitting for me to start to break my teeth in.
Yeah, perfectly fitting, right? And this is the 25th anniversary of Sopranos too, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin Interzanato, had a couple role parts in Sopranos, and Al Sapienza, who plays a big part in the movie, obviously was a big player in the Sopranos show back in the day.
Were you a fan? Were you a big fan of Sopranos?
Oh yeah, man. I remember starting to watch it. I think I was in high school, and then watching all through college, and finishing it. Once I came back from school, watching it with my buddies. The last final controversial episode.
Did you like it or not? Because so many people have different opinions on that.
It was all right. I didn't like how it just. I remember we thought how it just went black. I thought someone hit the remote. I'm like, who's on the remote? Who's on the remote? So I think the fact that there was no definitive ending, I didn't really like as much. But I mean, it's still top notch TV.
I actually went back and rewatched it, and that part got me again because the cat comes in the room, my son comes in the room. I thought somebody hit the remote. I'm like, whoa, 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 what's going on? And they got me
Yeah,
twice because they got
yeah,
me originally, got me
yeah.
there.
I
Didn't
guess
like
that
that
was the
ending.
plan.
Yeah, right. I didn't like that ending. Yeah, I needed definitive what happened.
For sure, for sure. You wanted to see more.
But that's cool though. Like as far as you acting, you're kind of going into not Sopranos esque, but into that genre. So that's pretty cool. Being a fan and then jumping into it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, everybody loves Goodfellas, Godfather, all those a bunch of those flicks I kind of grew up on. Especially being from the area, really resonates with us.
When you look at acting in general, are like Bastard Sons is out. Are you looking to do more? Are you going to be like? Are you going to be delving in? Are you going to start doing acting?
If people come to me and want me to be part of their projects, I would definitely consider it. I'm not really out there seeking anything. This is kind of a let's see what happens type of scenario. I would love to see there to be a sequel in this movie if it does well. I think Kevin has some pretty good ideas of where to go with the story, and I'd love to be a part of that. But again, if another project comes across my way that makes sense for me, I had a great time doing this, so I think I would take another shot at it.
Are you in acting school? Do you do acting lessons? Anything like that or no?
No, no acting school. No, no. I'm trying to open up a jiu-jitsu mixed martial arts school in my hometown right now. That's kind of my sole focus.
Oh wow, awesome! Is it going to be Tom's River or is it going to be someplace else?
In Tom's River, yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's going to be jujitsu based, but you're going to have some MMA stuff as well.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu based, but I'm gonna have MMA, for kids and Muay Thai and cardio kickboxing, a whole bunch of stuff.
When you're doing that and you're kind of doing that. Can they have like any better of a name on the board than you? I mean, that's pretty good, especially Jersey.
Yeah, no, it's good to have the accolades to be able to open up something, but I think it's just a good opportunity. I always wanted to get into teaching and stuff, even when I was a young wrestler. So I never just wanted to cut into my own career. So to be able to do it now when I'm done, I could focus on the programs, the kids. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Are you technically officially retired from MMA? Does that mean you're opening this and you're done?
I am. I retired in November of 22 was my last fight. Yeah, I'm pretty much. Well, I still train every day. So never say never, but for the most part, I'm looking for other things to do in my life.
So after Gutierrez, after MSG, you said that's enough. You're done.
Yeah, yeah. Even before that fight, I kind of thought that was my ending. And if anything, the fight kind of exemplified that for me.
So when you do that and you're kind of looking back, what do you think is like the legacy of Frankie Edgar? I mean, I'm saying your Jersey legend, all that stuff, but like, what do you say if somebody's looking back at Frankie Edgar? What do you like? What do you think? What's the legacy or the stamp of your career?
Yeah, that someone that never said no to a challenge, and someone that always left it all in there. I always say I never walked in a fight thinking I was going to lose. I didn't win them all, but I prepared like I was going to win them all. So I have no regrets. I left it all out there. You go watch some of my fights, you can see what type of person I am and the way I carry myself. And I had a great time. I had a great career. I literally, speaking of movies, Rocky movies, Bloodsport, kickboxing movies. Those movies are probably a big part of why I got into MMA. So to kind of bring it back full circle and be in a movie myself is pretty cool.
Do you consider yourself almost like a modern day Rocky? Like, or like when you were fighting, kind of like the underdog? Do you ever consider yourself that?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, I was always a smaller guy, especially when I was at 55, fighting up bigger guys. Even at 45, I was a smaller guy, and, I found ways to be successful. So, I like to say I'm the undersized overachiever, and, that's definitely something I hang my hat on.
What do you kind of lend that to? Like just natural toughness? Do you work harder than everybody? Like how do you kind of explain that? Because you are a smaller guy, especially for 155.
Yeah, I don't, the way you do it, one thing is the way you do everything. And, I always train hard. I train 100% ever since I was a wrestler, as soon as I was a young kid. If I was going to do something, I was going to do it the right way. I never want to have any regrets, and that's the best way to avoid that. Put your all in, and if you still end up short, you can't blame nobody.
Do you think wrestling is the best base for MMA?
I think it's person by person. I mean, BJ came from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Anderson Silva came from Muay Thai. It's definitely case by case. But I mean, me, since I came from wrestling, I'm gonna say wrestling. I think not so much the skill itself, just the upbringing of a wrestler. You learn how to train, you learn how to compete. We wrestle. My son. I mean, geez, he's 13 years old. He's probably wrestled over 600 matches already. So you get that repetition a lot as a wrestler.
I was just talking to Dan Henderson, about the same thing. Obviously, he was gifted with that right hand too, but he was saying wrestling is the best base. That I mean, he can't get better than wrestling, and it's hard to argue because there's so many guys that were champions that were wrestlers originally.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, even still today, wrestling is very heavy, and like even if you weren't a wrestler, you have to learn how to defend wrestling for sure. Like even George St. Pierre. I mean, he's one of the best wrestlers in MMA. He didn't wrestle as an amateur, so you got to pick it up though if you want to be successful in the sport.
When you are a wrestler too, like you're used to cutting weight, right? You're used to certain things that kind of mesh well with MMA.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's I believe probably the wrestling community maybe influenced the whole weight cut community in MMA, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm very accustomed to all that stuff.
Did you like cutting weight for MMA as far as, doing 145 and 135? Were you okay with that, or did you not really a big fan of that?
I mean, I never liked cutting weight. You had to do it throughout high school and college. But back then we kind of did it a little barbaric ways. This once I got to the UFC, once I was really cutting weight for 45, and more so for 35, I was actually cutting weight. You have nutritionists and diet plans. And you do it the right way, and I'm a very disciplined person. Like I said, I don't like taking any shortcuts. So if I did it the right way and prepared 8 weeks out, the weight cut was never really an issue. I mean, you just had to be disciplined.
When you look at UFC 300 coming up. There's no way you'll be a part of it. You're definitely retired. You don't want because you were a part of UFC 200. No chance.
Nah, yeah, no chance. No one's knocking on my door, so no chance.
I don't know. They need some sort of headliner for that show. It's looking pretty weak right now.
Yo, Dana will come through. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Because Connor, I don't think is going to be. I don't think he's a part
No,
of it.
I think they said June or July or something. He's coming back, so that won't be in time for that.
Yeah, it looks like he probably July for International Fight Week. He'll probably be fighting Michael Chandler.
Right, right, yeah, yep.
So hey, come on, they need somebody. Maybe Jose Aldo against you for the third time, maybe.
Hey, let's say if the check's heavy enough, we'll see. Anything's possible.
Looking back at just some of the fights of your career, like you could say, PJ Penn, Jose Aldo, but I always think about Gray Maynard. Those three fights, they kind of like exemplify you because it's like, oh, he's getting his ass kicked, and then no, well, no, he's not. It's a complete turnaround, very, very Rocky esque. What are your like kind of just memories of Gray Maynard and like that feud? I mean, that series of fights.
Yeah, they really upped my game. I fought BJ back to back, Gray back to back, and then Benson back to back. So that those training camps really upped my game. I was fighting big guys at 55. Definitely, made me prove some stuff to myself even in the fight. I've up until that point I never really been rocked, and I got rocked. I was able to respond and come back and tie the second one, and then finish the third one with a KO. So yeah, that was definitely defining moments in my career. Me and Gray will be attached together forever because of that. And yeah, that's the good stuff that comes from fighting.
Those fights too, it's like, man, he definitely has a big size advantage over you. You know what I mean? It's almost like, man, it's a little bit of a mismatch here, but not really. I mean, maybe on paper, but not really, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. Size does matter, I guess, once the skill levels are the same. But luckily, I definitely played to my strengths. I was being a smaller guy, in and out, a lot of speed, a lot of volume. Where are those guys now?
It's funny. It's like let's say 11 of the 15 rounds or almost 15 rounds you guys were in there together, or around that. It almost seemed like, or well, I guess it was 13 rounds, but most of the rounds were like even. Everything's even until you get that TKO in that final fight. It's almost like very, very evenly matched, just even given the size advantage he had.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was super competitive. I mean, MMA is like most sports are a game of inches. I mean, MMA, even more so because the consequences are so grave.
Did you ever think of like, oh man, I'm done? Like, oh, he KO'd me, I'm done. Or did that ever hit your head? I mean, I know you got rocked, but like, were you ever out of it, or were you were going to bounce
I
back
mean,
no matter
I'll,
what?
I'll be honest. The times I was really rocked, I don't remember much. I was kind of on autopilot. Looking back, I could see I'm listening to my coaches, so I was mentally there. But I don't remember a lot of those situations in the fights.
Do you think the BJ Penn, the back-to-back wins, pretty shocking at the time, just because he's this huge legend, he's unbeatable, he's the king of 155, everything else they put on his name. Obviously, he's one of the all-time greats, Hall of Famer. But were you kind of a little surprised, just because like they put you on the map, beating him back to back?
Yeah, the first time I fought him, I had to kind of convince myself that I could beat him. That was the time he's licking blood off his gloves and just running through the best of the best. Like no one's even giving him a competition. So, I talked myself in by fight night, and I had a great performance and won a close fight. But by the second fight, I knew I could beat him because I just did. So that's when I was able to turn it up another notch and not kind of I maybe in the first fight I was a little holding back a little bit just because I respected him so much. In the second fight, I believe I opened up and allowed myself to kind of just do what I do.
Did you notice like a rise in popularity after that? Because I know you beat Sean Shark before. You had win over Jim Miller, Tice Griffin. I mean, there were some good wins, big wins. But did you feel like that really put you on the map and kind of made you a star?
Yeah, winning that title just does that for you. You're the guy at that moment. You're headlining cards back to back. Beating a guy like BJ, like I said, he had the aura about him, like second to none. I mean, he still does. But even back then, it was just so fresh.
To me, those back-to-back Benson Henderson fights, you could tell me if you agree or not. I kind of thought you won both, to be honest. And I was actually shocked. I know the split decision, you definitely won. The first one where you lost the title, that was unanimous for him. I still say you won that one. Do you agree or am I crazy?
No, I mean, I do. I do. Of course, I'm going to say it, but no, I do. You know, a bunch of my buddies talk about it, and that first fight. I mean, I got hit with a big up kick in the second round that I was dominating, and maybe hit with an up kick at like the last 5 seconds. So maybe you have to give him that round, but that may change the fight a little bit. But the second fight, especially, I thought I beat him 4 rounds to 1, and to lose a split decision was it was disheartening. But I mean, that's kind of we see it across the board in our sport, and that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I remember both fights. I was at the bar for both fights. We're like, "Oh, Frankie wins." Like, and we're like shocked. We're like, "Oh my god, he lost!" And then the second one, we're like, "There's no doubt about it. He definitely won." And then he lost again. Sometimes the judging in MMA, am I right? It's a little not so
It
good.
is tough. Yeah, it's not. I mean, even boxing has some bad judging, but MMA, I think we see it a little bit more. Maybe there's more fights or something. But yeah, it's tough. I always feel like as fighters get into the role as judges, like former fighters or former competitors, or at least guys trained in MMA, get into the sport, I think the judging will get better. But it's still going to take some time.
What do you think about Benson? I mean, obviously those were tough fights. I think you won them both. I mean, it's arguable, maybe not because of the judges, but I think you won both. What do you think about him and just his fight style and just the way he goes about his business?
Yeah, I mean, hey, he gets after it. He had a great career in the UFC, had a great career in Bellator. Yeah, I think he's fighting. Did he fight Anthony Pettis in a Karate Combat League or something? I don't know if it happened or it's going to happen.
I think it's
But
going to
yeah,
happen.
Benson's a tremendous athlete. He's a big 55. Obviously, went up to 70. Real good dexterity, real well rounded. But yeah, another solid competitor.
You finally get that third and final fight with BJ Penn. Finally knock him out. What was the experience on the Ultimate Fighter like? Is that like scripted at all? Because it seems like sometimes that show is maybe a little fluff. What was your experience on the show?
Yeah, it was cool. It wasn't scripted at all, I wouldn't say, but they wanted they just you got to just speak after this, speak after that. They tell you when you want to talk. They tell you what they want to talk about, but it's not they weren't telling me what to say. Me and BJ always got along, so it wasn't like no drama or anything. We I got along with all his coaches too, so there was no drama, I guess. Maybe that doesn't make for the best TV, but me and BJ were just being ourselves.
So they didn't tell you to Rampage Jackson it and break a door down and and destroy property and stuff. You went on mute for a second.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, none of that.
So obviously, you beat Penn. You have a bunch of good wins like Stevens and Mendez and Cub Swanson, Uriah Faber, just a bunch of like nice wins, but around losses to Jose Aldo. Those fights were super close to me too. Did you feel like the Aldo fights? You
Yeah, I
won
think
those too?
I believe the first fight we had was super close. Again, I thought I won, but I could see how people said he won, all that. The second fight, I felt like he had my number a little bit. That one, I felt like I kind of laid an egg that fight. Just kind of no adjustments on my part. I was kind of trying to stick a square peg through a round hole. You know what I mean? And kind of just being hell bent on doing what I was going to do. I needed to kind of take a step back and maybe make some adjustments, but I didn't do that time. And again, that's just the way it goes.
With him, obviously, he's one of the all-time greats. He kind of had some injury bug and everything else. I know he's still going, but it's one of those things where he's definitely. I mean, arguably, he's one of the best, right? I mean, he's got to be up there resume-wise.
Absolutely, one of the best lightweights ever. Among all the lightweight divisions. I mean, he was running through people for a very, very, very long time. Through WC, UFC, and he fought some good fights. Even his losses, he always puts it out.
When you make the transition from 155 to 145, is that just because it's easier for you, or do you think that it was an advantage? How come you decided to do featherweight?
I just thought it was my quickest way back to the title. I just lost it to Benson twice. I knew it was going to take a while to get back to the title. I thought down at 45, a win here, a win there, I could get a shot, and I actually ended up taking a short fight notice and ended up getting the shot right away. So that's what I would do. My whole idea was get back to a championship belt.
Do you think you lost some? I don't know. You know what they say when sometimes people cut weight, they lose something, whether it be speed or power. You feel like you lost anything cutting weight or no?
Not at 45, because 45, I pretty much, that's what I walk. Once I'm in good shape, I probably cut 7 pounds. at 55 I cut nothing. 35 was actually cutting weight.
Now, what about 35? You felt like you lost something there?
And it's tough to say. I did it so late in my career, so I don't know if maybe age had a little factor. Fought the best guys too. When I fought Pedro Munoz, I was at 35. I felt amazing. The whole training camp, I felt amazing. Even my training camps for my last 2 fights leading up, I had good training camps. The weight cut was rather easy. So I don't know if it affected me or age affected me. It's just life.
Now they always say, age catches up with everybody. I feel like MMA fighters specifically, right? I mean, because that's got to be rough. Once you get up there in age, your chin doesn't get stronger. You know what I mean? Like you don't get faster, right? It's got to catch up with you.
Yeah, for sure. And most people usually go up as they get in age. I kind of went down, and I don't know if that maybe was the exemplifies some of those things a little bit more because I'm going down in weight classes. But age, it matters. It's a young man sport. There's no doubt about it. I hate it. I would never say it when I was fighting, but it's just it's just the reality of it all.
And you never got finished before, and as you start to move up in age, that's when the finishes happen. Which seems like obvious, but that's what happened.
Yeah, that maybe weight cuts too. I think I do believe cutting weight could have a little effect on your chin. You kind of see that a little bit more, but possibly both those things.
Did you love fighting in Madison Square Garden? You're home away from home there.
I did. The first one I got to fight, was the first card there. I was a big proponent of getting it legalized in New York, with the UFC all the way since back 2009, 10. I went down to the New York, Congress with everybody, and to be able to fight on the first card, I think I opened the pay-per-view, got a win. That was something that's just some memories I'll never forget. Now I got to fight there 2 more times. Obviously the results didn't go the way I wanted to, but still awesome to be walking through the crowd, seeing so many familiar faces and all that stuff.
Almost like a hometown hero there. Almost like you got the home field advantage.
Definitely. Absolutely. Hensel Gracie's is literally on 30th, right next to the Garden, and I trained there many, many days.
As we hit the wind down here, we'll head towards the finish. Do you have some favorite fights? I know I have some favorite fights, but you, just looking back at your career, do fighters have favorite fights or stuff they like to, look back on and really just say, hey, man, that was the best, or that was my favorite?
I think it's tough to say one. Obviously winning the title always stands out, just that's, reaching the pinnacle. Maynard 3, just because of the finish and the history we have. But I think Yair Rodriguez stands out for me. Everyone's trying to write me off, and put a stamp on that. The Cub Swanson, the 5-rounder where I got to finish late in the fight, that's just another one that stands out just because, just kind of kept looking for that finish, and got it. At one time was the latest finish in UFC history, and then Demetrius Johnson, I think, beat it like 2 weeks after that. But, those fights, and even the Chad Mendes fight with the knockout, just because everybody was talking about he had some power and this and that, and I was able to get that finish. So those fights kind of stand out for me.
Edgar Penn too, obviously was a good pay-per-view buy rate too, but I love that because that kind of cemented it. Like, it wasn't a fluke last time when he beat BJ. You know what I mean? Like he beat him. Like he's better than him.
Yeah, no, that was it. It was definitely it. That put the stamp on it, and nobody wanted to give me my I don't know if it's called give my roses or whatever. During the first fight, but that second fight, I got everybody's respect.
Resume wise, I mean, pretty packed. I mean, you fought a lot of legends, a lot of guys that could be considered the best of their time, or Aldo and BJ Penn, obviously Hall of Fame guys. Do you consider that resume like unbelievable? Like you fought everybody you wanted to fight, or is there guys out there like, I didn't get the chance to fight that guy. I wish I would have.
No, I pretty much fought everybody. I mean, I did it across 3 weight classes too. I don't think many people could say that. Maybe one fight I would like to have is I think the people would like to see maybe me versus Clay Guida. We were both kind of wrestlers in the lightweight division, and I don't know, did he go down to 45 at one point? I think maybe, and then Dominic Cruz. I think those could have been some fun fights too.
Hey, come on, get out of retirement. Let's make something happen for UFC 300. It's lacking right now. Come on. But
well, that's a big call, Dana.
Yeah, definitely. As far as you acting, though, tell us about Bastard Sons. Give us one last, big push for the movie that everybody should want to see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was an awesome story. It was awesome to do. It's an independent film. It's a gangster flick. Got a couple good twists in it. Some surprises. it seems it's a real Jersey blue collar type film, kind of just like your boy over here. You know what I mean? So I had a blast doing it, and I hope everybody gets to enjoy it. Definitely check it out and tell me what you think.
Where can everybody see it?
It's on most VOD platforms, but specifically Amazon Prime, iTunes, and Vudu.
When you look at it too, I was reading the presser. It's a saga, so that means there's going to be more. So I hope, right? Hopefully there'll be more.
Well, yeah, the Kevin, the writer and producer, director, actor, all that stuff. He has some pretty good ideas for where the direction of this movie. So again, if it does well, I think you'll see that.
And what are you going to be up to next, just as far as like what you got coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm actually opening a jiu-jitsu MMA school in my hometown right now. Really focusing on that. Hoping to be open within the next couple of months. So that's the goal right now.
What is the name going to be? Just Frankie Edgar's BJJ?
It's going to be Frankie Edgar's Iron Army Academy.
Oh, everybody. Okay, everybody in Jersey, definitely keep your eye on that. You can't get a better teacher or name on the door, especially New Jersey, right?
Yeah, hey, yeah, for sure. I'm gonna go in there and do it like I do everything and give it my all. That's for sure.
Now, where can everybody find you at social media and otherwise?
Just Frankie Edgar everywhere.
All right, Frankie, thank you so much for all the time. Really appreciate it. Good luck with the movie.
Yeah, thank you, brother. It's definitely good talking to you. Take care, John.